guys, it's Chris, and welcome to the Toned and Toneful video podcast, episode number 13, Life Balance and How It Improves Your Day-to-Day. So I want to talk to you guys today about life balance, and it's something that I think gets missed by a lot of our generation and a lot of people just in general because of the hustle culture that we've been taught, and also there's another culture on the other side, that modern, self-love thing where it's like just pure relaxation, pure taking care of yourself. But is there a place in the middle that could be balanced and that could have the right amount for your personality type and the right amount for your physical being where you're at so that you can have the right balance? I believe that is so. So today we're going to be talking about what life balance is and some different ways to work on it and different ways that I think that it helps you guys and helps me, helps everybody. Life balance is really incredibly important because we can start to find that when we pay attention to our daily schedule and we pay attention to maybe our weekly schedule and our life and how we're focusing on things, we can see that our life might be very tilted in one direction. We might be working really, really hard on one particular subject, or it could come as far to the other side that we're not really working at all. Our life is at the Netflix and chill level. You're coming home and you're just hanging out, you're breaking open the beer, you're cooking the heavy carb meal, and you're just hanging out. And on the other hand, you have people who are, on a strict raw vegan diet, or someone who's on a strict carnivore or keto diet, and then they're working all the time. And both of these individuals, no matter, if it's the same individual at different parts of their life, that would be better. But usually when I typically spend time with people and talk to them about how they work and how they balance their life, I notice that a majority of people tend to either be on the more lazier side and they're trying to relax more, and you have another group of people who are on the side where they're trying to work all the time and they're trying to make gains and they're trying to improve their life. And then you have a group of people who are kind of more towards the middle, who are definitely more, they're figuring it out and they're using their life as a way to work with what they're learning and what they're starting to know. So I believe that all of these are really, really, really important in the factor of developing your life balance. So I notice a lot of people, when they're on the busier side, they have a hard time noticing that they're maybe missing a lot of things that have to do with their mental health and what has to do with their physical health and what has to do with their family communication and their family life. These people on the side where they're more towards gains and everything, they might have a tendency to be perfectionists, or maybe like people who are very more like A-type personalities. And then you can have people on the opposite spectrum, like we talked about earlier, who are more on the Netflix and chill kind of level. And their whole thing is like, hey, I got off work, I made the money for the day, or I did what I'm supposed to do today. What more do I really need to do? I just want to hang out. So these two different types of personalities are both suffering from the inability to probably see a larger scope of their personal environment and their personal life. So let's say, for example, I'm a person who's working on a lot of projects at the same time. I might not realize that part of that aggressiveness in my personality and that strong assertiveness, although it is good, part of it might be coming from stress, and part of it might be coming from a place where anxiety is deeply rooted within, just so you can make the results. So you're a little more firm with people, you're a little bit more hard on people. You kind of forget that other individuals have a different way of viewing life, and they might need to see life in a way that makes more sense to them. So in this facet, it might be hard for that person who's very dedicated and very forward thinking and very assertive to be the kind of person who can kind of kick back for a moment and realize that the process of relaxing, maybe them Netflixing and chilling, or them finding some time outside at a park, walking around, is actually going to help them build their story, is going to actually help them have character and have something to talk about. It's kind of sad when you see someone who's such a great worker. I know a lot of musicians who are great workers, but when it comes to actually making music, because they don't have many stories in life and because they don't have a lot of variation in their life, it seems like what they focus on and what they musically make or artistically make or how they express themselves in life is very, very narrow. It's very a certain way. And that doesn't make it wrong. But at the same time, I think for the healthiness of that individual, be more spread out. Want to talk about, on the other hand, you have someone who's Netflixing and chilling, and they're kind of hanging out and they're getting off work and their weight's building up. they're stressed, but they're stressed in a different way. They're kind of like their internal spirits, kind of like, what are we doing? What's going on? And they're kind of going through this mental game of turning it off and going, well, I'm just going to be doing this. Like, it doesn't phase me to really think about what it's going to mean to not do what I need to do. I'm just going to focus on this TV show and just be into that, or just scroll around on my phone, which I think is a really hard one to stop. So work-life balance. Now that we've talked about what work-life balance is, we're talking, not work-life, but life balance. We're talking about paying attention to all the facets of our life. And work is part of that. We have to do work. There's no way that we can't do work in life. But why is it important? Why would it be important that we would focus on these different factors in our balance? Like, does it matter if I'm eating a healthy dinner every day and doing this and doing that? And does it matter that I've looked into my body type and figured out what's going to work for me? Yes, absolutely yes. Please understand that. It is so important to figure out what balance is best for us. If you take down a day and write down what you're doing, and you realize that it's 5 hours of video games, 3 hours of guitar practice, and then 6 hours of sleeping, and then like 6 hours is doing what? And you're kind of like surfing the internet, walking around the house, doing this, grabbing a coffee. Maybe it's time to question like how that work-life balance can be like refined down a little bit. How that can be brought to a place where you now have time that you're cooking for yourself, paying attention to what works in your diet. Like, even if you're spending an hour a day cooking and you're like looking at kind of what you're eating and thinking about like, man, every time I eat that, I don't feel good. It would be a really good thing. You know, if you're sitting around and you're watching a lot of Netflix and chilling, have you ever thought about maybe getting a stationary bike and just throwing at least one of the hours that you're watching a show just on a stationary bike? Or maybe taking 1 hour of your TV show time to listen to something you want to learn for a while you bike, and so you're keeping your body healthy, and then over time, like, you're kind of getting enough information that's maybe breaking you out of that, like, oh, I want to chill, because you're not feeling as confident, you don't really feel as good about like trying a new thing. So get yourself used to it. We gotta play to what balances us out. So if you're the kind of person who's always going into things new and that really brings you into things, then it's important that you're kind of cycling in maybe in and out of hobby and you have a new thing coming in. So for example, for me, I like to bodybuild, bike, and play guitar. Playing guitar is my sole purpose in life. But bodybuilding and biking give me this weird hobby that I can be into. And it's not that I choose it because I can just be into it. I really enjoy it. But when I'm into it and I'm working on it, I realize it allows my brain to be in a different place from guitar. And when I play the next time, it's already improved. Because I can just be somewhere else and I can just go somewhere else. Also, my health improves because I'm in the moment of working on something. I'm not thinking of a symptom I'm dealing with, or I'm not thinking of something like that. So that's why it's important, because it gives us an overlay of ourselves. To have a bigger overlay of our personal self is incredibly important. The next thing I think it improves is your mental health. A lot of people say mental health this, mental health that, and it kind of feels like an overshoot. Like someone's always talking about mental health these days. They should be. They should be. Sweeping things under the rug and ignoring things causes anxiety to abnormal levels. It causes symptoms that don't even exist in our body. It destroys our gut microbiome so that when we digest things, we take in more things like caffeine and do things wrong on a high level. Remember, balance is a thing. Even right now, I'm having a cup of regular today. Unique for me, but you know what? I felt a little bit, not tired, but I felt very relaxed because I've been working on something recently. And today, I wanted to go back into the balancing of being chilled the last day. Now I'm going into something a little more like we're gonna do today. So that is a very, very important factor. Mental health is affected by so many things. If you're working on music constantly, like you notice a portion of your day is like 50%, 60% on one thing, you are going to have anxiety about it. You are thinking about it far too much. There's no way, like you can play guitar all day, but you have to remember that you have to have a healthy distance from it. If you're going to be the kind of guy who's going to play all day, or the kind of if you're going to play all day, you need to be the kind of person who's going to be able to take that specific type of sound, for example, like you're working on like this song, and you need to be able to work on it in a way where you're getting away from it and then getting back into it. Your brain has to be jumping in and out of it. The positioning of our brain from taking ourselves out of something and putting ourselves back in is one of the most healthy things that we can do. So mental health is definitely affected whether you're thinking about something too much and causing anxiety, and on the opposite side, thinking about something too little, ignoring a part of your life. Remember, if we're not eating the right balance of food, our gut microbiome isn't right. Remember that if we're taking in too much caffeine, remember our adrenals are drained. They're just drained. They're just running. Remember that if we're taking in cannabis all the time, remember that your body is starting to deal with interesting receptor changes that might be perception changes that you need to be very aware of mentally. So everything that people are taking in every day, you got to be exceptionally careful about what it means to your mental health. And your mental health is going to be affected by and also be in cohesion with our physical health. Physical health is very important. If a part of your day isn't doing an activity that's good for your type of body, if you're the type of person who's not a highly active person and you're looking just to do a little bit, like, I'm going to walk around and I want to like just get out and get some fresh air, you need fresh air. You need a little bit of sun. You need a little bit of that time away from maybe electronic sounds and just like listening to the tune of life. A bee over there, kind of hearing talking over here, a dog barking. All these things are all part of the tune of life that we tend to want to be silenced away from because we want to be in our own mental world. But our physical health depends on us taking in our micro like biology inside of us is kind of attuned to taking in these things, whether it's the smell of the air outside, it's expanding your physical health. Also, if you don't take any time to work on maybe stretching before guitar playing or stretching before your music practice or athletic stuff, take time for that. Putting time into our muscle and putting time into our diet are things that we can do that can improve our physical health that go along with our mental health. Remember, if you're awake 16 hours a day and you're putting 6 hours on guitar, couple hours of breaks, or 6 hours on any instrument, who cares? If you're a professional musician, you're putting that time in there, or you're putting time into your job, and you got 2 hours of breaks at your job, and you also have some time you put dedicated towards cooking during that day to like know what's going in your body, a little time that's dedicated towards your physical body, you're in a really good spot. You can also take some time to expand your knowledge. Say you're one of the people on the more relaxed side and you're having a harder time getting into things because you like to be into it before you do it. Like I said, find a way to maybe get a stationary bike, or if you already have a gym membership, watch videos on something you're interested in, but maybe do it for a month. An hour a day for a month is 30 hours. If you did that for 3 months, you would have done a semester of school. Actually, like, think about that. You would have done a semester of school if you're like thinking about it, working on it, learning stuff, just watching videos on different variables of a certain subject. Whether you want to learn how to do a certain math problem, build a studio in your house and soundproof it, or if you want to like set your bike up a certain way and you realize it takes hours to do a certain project to like do it, you need to look those things up and spend time on it so you feel confident. So that's really important to be expanding our knowledge. Part of what makes a human so great is our ability to take in information and correlate it to other things. And as you work on expanding your knowledge, you will realize you already partly know everything you're learning, because in something you're learning is something else you've already learned. And bringing that part of our brain out is one of the most coolest. The way we correlate something in our mind and the way we build that is part of your storytelling, that is part of your creativity, and that is part of your understanding of the experience of life. And it would be silly to tell somebody that it wouldn't be good to be expanding their knowledge all the time. Even if you're working really hard on a project, like say you're like, you have to learn these 5 songs by the weekend, or you have to write a paper, or you need to like, you have a really big presentation due at your job, and you're working on that every day. You know you need to, or else you're going to be behind. That's okay, but still expand your knowledge. You might find that one day you'll hear something that brings something to that presentation, or you'll hear something that brings something to the song that you're like, wow, like me constantly being on my go actually brings that about. So that's really important. And I think the last and most important one, I know this will sound silly because mental health is so important, physical health is so important, expanding knowledge, but please have fun. For the people who are always working on their projects and they're mentally really dived really deep and they're just kind of always on something, let yourself mentally let go sometimes. That's going to improve your storytelling. That's going to give you a story to tell. Sometimes the funniest thing is the feeling of realizing like you're hanging out with friends and like you do something and like you drop a cup, but the way you felt when you dropped the cup, it was like the funniest. And your friends were like, dude, you should have seen your face and like blah, blah, blah. And like you realize that there's so much story in everything that if we take this to the level that we understand ourselves, we might actually have something that promotes health and something that promotes our general creativity from a place that we ease our anxiety, that we realize that laughing at things and that fun is the most highest level of communication. It's the most highest level of rule abiding. Like when we have fun with people and we make jokes and when we're pressing the moment, it's no different than improvising. You make fun of something and you realize that you have to be careful. Like you can't make fun of someone too much, but you gotta make fun of them just right, because loving somebody is acknowledging that they're unique and that there's this about them, but it's also acknowledging that they have feelings. This life is a balance, and that's a balance, and our relationships are a balance. And I believe that when you improve your life balance and you look at your life as like, not like a pie chart, like you just got to fill in these things, but if you look at it as a pie chart and you notice one part is like half of it or so much of it, you definitely do need to take in consideration what it could mean to make your life a little bit more balanced for you so that you could have something that exists in a way that makes you feel great. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about life balance because it's something that I've been experiencing. I've been having a time recently where I've been very productive, but at the same time, kind of forgetting to let myself do little things and to enjoy life outside a very focused diet, a very focused guitar playing regimen, and a very focused, like, for Tone and Toneful, being very focused on that. So I wanted to express this to you guys because as I've been working on my life balance this week, I feel refreshed and I feel great. And I wanted to tell you guys one last thing. Thank you for those who joined in on the Tone and Toneful live workout. You guys are absolutely awesome. And the questions and the engagement that was there left me feeling very good. So I just wanted to tell you guys thank you for that. And I really hope you enjoyed episode 13 of the Tone and Toneful video podcast, Life Balance and How It Improves Your Day to Day. Thank you guys so much. Tone and Toneful.